Shock news, the US military is creating AI robots that can kill humans. So the New York Times reports, but guess what? It's China's fault. Yeah, that's what it says. I'll show you their argument. But first, it's obvious to any human being with an intelligence level higher than the moss growing on rocks that for humans to spend millions of dollars to make machines that autonomously kill humans is a seriously bad idea and should be stopped right now. But the US cannot stop, the article says. Why not? Because China. Efforts to reach out to their counterparts in China were unsuccessful. The Americans are not going to pause development on militarized AI on their own, it says. It then quotes the Pentagon's chief information officer saying, "If we stop, guess who is not going to stop?" In other words, a ban on autonomous killer robots would actually be a bad thing because the result will be only the bad guys will have autonomous killer robots. Do you recognize that argument? You've heard it somewhere before, right? Yes, it's the classic NRA argument. Gun control is a bad thing because then only bad guys will have guns. The gun control argument is now being used to justify the production of autonomous killer robots. And all because maybe some Chinese official didn't reply to an email or call which probably went to the wrong person. The bigger issue is this. The New York Times is giving an extraordinarily deceptive and misleading account of this topic. I know that's going to come as a complete shock to absolutely no one at all. So, here is what the New York Times is choosing not to tell its readers.
Let's get it started.
In April 2018, a US delegation turned up at a government-level military discussion on this topic in Geneva. They said they'd come to present killer robots in a positive light. Now, the Europeans were taken aback. "Ach so?" asked the German. "Sacré bleu," said the French. "How can this be?" The Americans said that killer robots actually prevented the killing of civilians. More killer robots, less collateral damage, they said. Collateral damage is a Western military term for dead, innocent people. Now, the Europeans struggled to deal with this idea. To prevent the killing of humans, you encourage the creation of robots that autonomously kill humans?
What?
The US delegation explicitly warned against stigmatizing these weapons, said a German report of that meeting. Now here's the strange thing, that was 2018. The following year, in 2019, the then US Defense Secretary criticized China, again without hard evidence, saying that it had sold killer robot drones. What a shocking thing to do. This was a surprising comment had he not read his own policy, which warned against stigmatizing these weapons. Now, also in 2019, the countries of the world met at the UN to discuss a motion saying that pretty much everyone agreed that killer robots were an obviously horrible idea and should be banned immediately. Guess who disagreed with the motion? I bet you can guess. Think of the most pro-violence, pro-military, pro-colonialism countries ever. I'm going to give you 3 seconds to guess. Yes, correct. The US refused to support the ban. Israel refused to support the ban. The UK refused to support the ban. Australia refused to support the ban. And lining up alongside America and its vassal states to fight the ban was Russia, another country not known for being entirely allergic to war. By 2021, killer robots were reportedly being used in actual fights against humans, reports said. The Israel Defense Forces used a swarm of small drones to locate, identify and attack Hamas militants. This is thought to be the first time a drone swarm has been used in combat. Now, the New York Times this week, using NRA logic, manages to blame China for the American escalation in the production of killer robots. But here's their problem. China has long been opposed to killer robots. A 2021 article in Global Times explained why. Imagine two enemies facing off against each other, it said. One is human, the other is killer robots. Whoever ultimately wins the fight, the result will be a massacre of humans, right? Now that must be the wrong thing to do, the Chinese said. Yeah, exactly. The Chinese, in fact, agree with the vast majority of the world on this topic. China is not the problem here. I think we all know who is the problem. Anyway, this whole discussion may be too late. While the Pentagon and the New York Times are busy trying to blame China for their own country's terrifying policies, as usual, the US military itself has admitted that it already has autonomous weapons. The infamous Patriot missiles can fire themselves. I really don't like the idea of Patriot missiles firing themselves, do you? In fact, I think anything labelled Patriot, whether human or robot, American or Chinese, should be banned from holding weapons of any kind. Meanwhile, I'm going to keep the cutting in which the US defence guy criticises China without evidence for developing a lethal drone. Because America really is doing exactly that. They're developing swarms of 250 drones to work together to kill people. I expect China by now will be doing exactly the same thing. I mean, the Chinese have no choice, what with the US being so hungry to goad China into a war. What to do about all this? There's not a lot we can do. But we can spread awareness that what the Western media tells the world about China very often is, as in this case, the exact opposite of the truth. And also we can share the truth. Please take a moment to press the like and subscribe buttons on this channel and share our videos with your friends and family members. You know, there's not the slightest doubt that certain military leaders in certain places are hungry for war. But I also strongly believe that most members of the general public, and that includes Americans, Israelis, British and Australians, they want the same thing that Asians want. And you know what that is, don't you? Yes, peace.